convention, there are lines, and we try so hard to get you guys in here as quickly as possible, but it's not like we don't care. We totally sympathize with you guys. And it is hot, it's Texas, it's humid, we hate it. So I just want you to know from me to you, sorry for the wait. But my question now is, are you having fun? Okay, so some of you are probably like, who's this guy? I'm Mark Walters, I'm the event manager at Dallas Comic Con, and thank you very much for coming out. I hope that the good is outweighing the bad, and I think this will help what you're about to sit through here. There's moments where you nerd out, even when you do stuff like this, when you see people that are just like, wow, that's just really cool, you know? Like when Brent Spiner's busting my chops backstage. It's great. Love the guy. Anyway, it's a great thrill to have him up here, and once again, I have to begrudgingly hand it off to my buddy Devin Pike, who writes for BigFanboy.com, so it's okay that he does this. I also was told that there will be no questions about Star Trek, so just make sure that you guys know. Of course not. That joke never gets old though, does it? Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, and Andrew.
Now we have to sing the theme to Night Court. Night Court in the sky. Is that how it went? First off, on behalf of everybody at Dallas Comic Con, I want to thank you guys for coming out to Dallas and being a part of this convention. It is amazing to have you.
Thank you so much. We're really lucky to have you all coming out on a weekend like this, so thank you so much. It's cool.
Really, you neither wind nor storm nor
incredible heat.
Yeah, heat.
Eye infection.
Right.
It's not too soon. Come on, you guys are saying it on Twitter. Everybody, seriously, my eyes feel a little weird. We should have made out backstage. There are a lot of questions. Everybody here has a lot of amazing questions, and I want to throw it to the mics as soon as possible. But before we do that, there were a couple of questions I wanted to ask you guys in specific. First off, when Next Generation started casting in '86, it was one of, it was one of the hardest casting calls. Everybody was up for every single role, and I'm curious from each of your perspectives, and Gates will start with you in Don's way. Talk a little bit about your first reads. Talk about your first reads for the show and your impressions of them at that time.
Well, I just happened to have an agent who was like a fanatical Star Trek fan. She had adored the first series. I really wasn't familiar with the first series. I knew that there were these icons out there, but I hadn't really watched the show. So I just was on my way back to the airport. I was in New York, actually, so I stopped, and there was just this big office, and I was the only actress there, and there were 3 sets of sides, and they said, yeah, you're the first woman they've seen for anything. Just take a look at the parts and read anyone you want. So, you know, like it was really special for me. And, so I read all 3 parts, and one of them seemed to cry a lot, and the other one did a lot of sort of, you know, being tough. And then this other one was really funny. She had a hilarious scene, and that was Dr. Crusher. And it was the only funny scene in 7 seasons. But I read that scene and I went, that's the one for me. I want the funny female role. And you know what happened?
Actually, you got it. You got the funny female
second season, there was some hilarious stuff that
Is that too soon?
I'm sorry. That was the year that Nathan Fillion played the
They're here all weekend, kids. LeVar. Sir, when you were getting called in for the show, what was your first reaction looking at the asides, trying to figure out the voice of the character?
I wasn't trying to figure out the voice of the character. I was going to try and figure out how are they going to make him blind.
Yeah.
And then I found out. And it scared me. But I auditioned anyway. And actually, I only had one question when I got the call. I got a call from Bob Justman, who I had done a TV movie with years before. And he remembered my love of Star Trek. And he gave me a call and said, would you be interested in doing a television series? And my only question was, is Gene involved? And he said, absolutely. And I was in that moment ready to do whatever it took to be able to compete, to win a role. Wanted to be in it.
And you didn't read for any of the funny female lines in there, Chuck?
You know, no.
Talk about the feelings. Brent, how about you?
You know, I can do 45 minutes alone on this casting process. You know, I think I will. You know, I'm looking out at this room and I'm thinking how few really important people there are. This is the VIP section right here.
They're here. They're just invisible.
They're two.
Oh, so you guys are VIPs too. And who are you over there?
They're the groundlings.
You're my favorites.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Love you guys.
Back row. You guys in the back row there, we could care less about you. No. Don't even think that. We love you.
Yeah.
What was your question?
When you first started to read for Next Generation.
Yes, I read first, my agent called, he said they're doing a new Star Trek series. I said, no way that's going to work, I don't want to be a part of it. He said, just go in and read, Judy Lowery's the casting director and she wants to see you. And I read for her and she said, okay, I read the part of Data. She said, I think you should read for the producers. So I went to the audition and I had prepared it, I was ready to go. They had said originally, I had said to them, do you want this character to be more like a robot or more like a human? I mean, and they said, make him a little more towards the human side. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting waiting to go in. There are all these other actors auditioning. And Judy comes out of the producer's room and she says, listen, they've changed their minds. They'd like you to read for Riker. Seriously. Yeah. And I said, Riker? I don't want to be Riker. Really? I said, I'll read for Beverly.
She's funny.
Because she's funny, right? So seriously, I said, Judy, I think I'm going to go. And she went, go? And I went, yeah, I prepared Data, and I didn't even look at this part of Riker. And she said, well, don't go. And I went, well, she said, hold on. She came back out and she said, okay, they said you can read for Data. So I did. And I went in, I read this scene that was between Geordi and Data. It was a really cool scene. The last cool scene in 7 years, by the way. No. And it was very neat. And I auditioned for that, and miracle of miracles, they cast me.
Do you remember meeting up with the trailer? They had these sort of, we didn't have a building finally, remember? It was kind of like the old trailers.
We had these
little trailers.
Dumpy trailers.
And coming out, and we was in one of this, maybe the second round of callbacks or something, and we had known each other in New York,
Yeah.
it was like, oh man, are you up for, yeah, I don't know, should we, you know, I remember the sort of discussion like, I don't know, I mean, it's probably something that take off, it's like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it came all the way down to, for me, when they offered me the part, I panicked and I thought, oh no, I can't do this. And I called my agent and I said, I don't really want to do this. And he said, look, just do the pilot, and if you don't like it, I'll get you out of the series. And, which they really can't do. But I said, okay, and then I did the pilot, and I was so jazzed to be working with everybody who I was working with, and I thought, this is going to be really cool, actually. So I stayed, and stayed, and stayed, and I'm still here.
And I actually turned it down to go do a play for like nothing, you know, and how stupid was that, right? And it wasn't until Gene called me, had a phone call when he was in his hot tub, and he was sort of like, honey, wake up. You know, you could have a hot tub like this too. And he called, so just say yes, you know, get over it. And I did.
Gene had a phone in his hot tub. It was amazing. He'd go.
So is that what Patrick Stewart told you when he made the phone call, please come back, we'll get you a hot tub for the 3rd season?
He did. You think there was a connection? We were in the hot tub, babe.
Talk about comedy.
With the Blu-rays coming out, and we will throw out to the crowd mics. With the Blu-rays coming out, we're seeing some really great blooper reels, some of which they have been sitting in the CBS archives forever. But it looks like Michael Dorn blows more tapes in the ones I've seen than anybody else on cast. Was Michael the culprit, or was there somebody else that may or may not be sitting at this table?
Michael blew everything. It was,
Whether he had lines or not.
yeah. We'd do our lines and he'd go, oh, sorry. But they could have cut together anything he did, and it was comedy, because he never got it right on the first take.
Which is weird because he remembers dialogue from Chips.
He really does. He does. He has this phenomenal memory. He's a big John Wayne fan, and he can remember huge chunks of dialogue from movies, word for word. But his own dialogue? Never. We used to sit, and you can see it in these bloopers, I think. I haven't looked at them myself, but if we're on the bridge, and he's behind us, and he's going to have a line, you can see it on our faces. We know what's going to happen. And he never let us down.
Are you going to throw anybody under the bus on this one?
No.
Alright.
My son was very smart.
Will's probably had a bad night since the Kings lost last night. We should give
Did
him
they?
a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharks won last night. Yeah.
I saw he cursed a lot on Twitter.
Yes, he did. I'm going to talk to him.
He and Baldwin it was really good. We're going to go back and forth on the mics, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, you're not going to be able to see these guys. So wave your arms when you guys start. We're going to start.